Hi Heritage Point community supporters and donors. My name is Caitlin Adams and I'm so excited to be with you here today. It is such a pleasure to present to you my dance company HEIDCO and our recent upcoming project titled The Heaping Kind. We are actually on set right now, which is so exciting. We're in the middle of the shoot. So for the next hour, I'll be showing you some past work as well as having a conversation with my company and my collaborators. I am originally from Southern California, and what's so special about being with Heritage Pointe today is that I'm from Newport Beach, and so I have been led to you via my community, and I feel really, really honored and really grateful to be able to share with you my work and where I come from. My journey as an artist actually started when I was 2 years old. I started dancing. I started with ballet, and then I soon became a tap dancer, and then I went into competition dance, and basically dance has been my whole life since I was very, very young. Simultaneously to dancing, I also began writing at a very young age. I wrote poetry, I wrote fiction, and then that soon when I went into high school became mostly journalism. I worked on my newspaper and I became an editor. And I did photojournalism, and writing and dance were equally the most important parts of my life. I first started choreographing also at a very young age. I've been making dances since I was probably 7 years old in my garage. When I'm making dance, it feels very much a part of my soul, a part of my origin story, and has never left me. I ended up going to school for dance, and I found my way via some teachers to CalArts up in Valencia, California. And at CalArts, I studied dance, choreography, and writing. And one of the most amazing things about going to CalArts was that it ended up showing me all of the different ways that I could get behind direction and choreography, and basically the value of being able to organize and create projects, which became my main focus when I was there. An incredible thing about CalArts is, for me at least, was that I was really able to create my own education, I would say. I was brought into projects in all of the different programs. I was doing movement direction with theater directors and with filmmakers. I worked with different sculptors there and was doing performances. I would say that without that education, my kind of body of work wouldn't have become as realized as it is now, and also I wouldn't have been led to a lot of the different connections and opportunities truly that I've had. After graduating from CalArts, I went to Europe and to Israel, and I danced. I did some dance programs in Israel with Batsheva Dance Company, and then I basically, through the grapevine, a teacher of mine led me to Poland, to a festival there, a cultural anthropology and theater festival that I ended up assisting one of the directors as well as the anthropologist. And from there, I went to Berlin, where then I was performing with a theater company and also working with a film director. All of this then led me back to the States, where I went back to Los Angeles. And this ended up unfolding, I think, into something that became very exciting, very rewarding, very risky, and also very, completely surprising as life goes. And I ended up founding and managing a venue, community space, rehearsal studio, and I would say a place that people gathered, and there was a lot of different kinds of events that happened there, from social events to all kinds of events in the arts. And this space was called, I should tell you, it was called in Chinatown, it was called Dynasty Center, and became a huge part of my life, was a huge labor of love. The incredible thing about Dynasty Center was that I realized how much community and support I had around me. It became an incredible team of people. I had people there that were solely building walls and closets, and I had people there that were only part of the musician scene, and Someone that I ran the space with had multiple organs and a drum kit. Also in this 2 years, which was 2015 to 2017, I was acting with a particular film director in LA. I was working with a space that is no longer around called Machine Project, and was doing also production and direction. From Dynasty Center, I also then was brought onto a pretty large scale opera through Machine Project that I was casting, directing, choreographing with an ensemble, and location scouting. I ended up getting a ton of experience through that, production managing, and through the opera, the producer, as well as the woman who wrote it, became incredibly passionate about helping me publish my first book, which became a huge success, and I'm really excited to share it with you. And this is actually a book of poetry. It's titled Trying Poems. Trying Poems. And basically, I'm gonna show you a little bit about it. First of all, it has an origami fold on the front that was designed by Jordan Sines, an incredible designer and dear friend of mine. And there is a butter knife in the front that we all, the three people working on the project individually chose together. So basically, if you flip through the book, all of the pages are closed as if they were an envelope. And then the knife is used to kind of saw through each page because the content of the book is not so easy. So we wanted to make not only kind of a laborious process to be able to read it, but also involve something that was immersive. And also I really wanted an action to be part of being able to read it. So it was not only involving reading and your mind, but also involving your hands and getting the body involved, which I think is a huge part of how I think about dance as well, is that I try to think about, and as well as writing, I try to think about how the mind and the body are working together, how they're working opposite from each other, and how they can be canceled out so that we're working from a place of neutrality. So my thought with this book was that if we're involving both the mind and the hands, that there was some sort of neutralizing that would happen, or some sort of a piece that could come in while dealing with the difficult content, which is incredibly personal to me. A lot of these poems they're also highly conceptual and take a lot of, I would say they take a lot of space to fully understand, a lot of dissecting, and so the book opens up with the cover page, and it flips through, and I am so excited because I was able to dedicate this book to my grandmother, and my grandma and I used to write together all the time, so it was so cool to be able to show her that I was publishing a book and that she was such a huge part of it and part of my story as a writer, because we used to write together when I was a very young child. So as you flip through, this becomes their empty pages and you have to saw through each one. This book was, so it then was taken by Printed Matter, became part of Printed Matter's database, and was sold at their store. Printed Matter is here in Chelsea, New York, and I was so excited to be able to send them a handful of copies. We only made 105, and they ended up taking, or rather selling, most of the stock that I had of them. After it went to Printed Matter, it was then Printed Matter took it to New York Art Book Fair and LA Art Book Fair, and the rest of the books were sold there. I only have about 7 left, and I'm really hoping to be able to do another run of this book because it seems to be something that people really love, and I would love to be able to share it with you all as well. So that's one thing that I have done that I really wanted to be able to show you. And then after the opera and after this book, Dynasty Center closed, and then I moved to New York, which is where I am now. And shortly after moving to New York, I started my dance company, HEIDCO, which I think is probably about 20 years in the making. From a very young age to, I have pretty much always known I would start a dance company. It was just kind of like where I would start the dance company and when, and what it would look like, and I knew it would sort of unfold. The name, all of these things have been on my mind for such a long time. So when I moved here, I immediately, miraculously, got a very big opportunity to produce a show at a big space dance, kind of a dance hub in New York, called Give Me Dance, and I was able to present an evening length show there. We have received many opportunities. I've been led to, as always, I feel so grateful to have been led to such incredible collaborators and a lot of support. And through the time of being here, we've had projects with New York City Poetry Festival on Governor's Island. We've performed throughout Manhattan and Brooklyn in all different kinds of venues, presented a new work this past year, Metal Body, at another space here in New York. I've been very, very honored this past year to have been interviewed in Bomb Magazine for my work. I think it's a really beautiful moment now to introduce to you a few works that I will be sharing, just 3 from the past few years that I've created with HEIDCO. The first one is Displace Engine, which I mentioned earlier. We premiered that in April of 2018 at Give Me Dance in New York City. And Displace Engine involved 4 dancers. It is a really wild piece where they actually write at the beginning, and there's a whole speaking element to it. There's a lot of text, and I actually made it in an opera structure, so there are 4 acts. And that work is, I'm really excited to share with that work with you. We had an incredible time making it.
It was the Thursday and then plus soft and the common more period. I not even doing anything here. Maybe memory. I need to hear too loud. I want to see go outside or on the tree. Lightning come out all the time.
Next work I'm going to share is Soft and Stark. Soft and Stark was a commission from New York City Poetry Festival. This premiered on Governor's Island in the summer of 2018. This was with 3 dancers. Also a really fun work. It was site specific, it was outside, it was summer, and there were poets that were performing live around everyone, so our sound score became the poetry that was being said live, and that was a really fun piece in the grass. From there, I will show you our most recent work before the one that we're currently working on, called Metal Body. Metal Body we worked on for probably about a year and a half. It took like so many different turns. We had so many different processes a part of it, so many different iterations and segments. This showed, I think, in a total of like 12 spaces. Studios throughout Manhattan and Brooklyn, different places. Let's see, Spoke the Hub was one in Brooklyn, and Arts on Site. This ended up going to 2 shows. One was a Director's Choice Award, Director's Choice Showcase in, well, it was an award that turned into a showcase in Brooklyn. And then we premiered at Triskelion Arts in Greenpoint, also in Brooklyn. And we did a 40-minute work there. currently we are working on The Heaping Kind, which is our first film together. This is featuring all 4 of my current company members, as well as a dear collaborator who is new to me that I'm really excited about, Sheridan Telford, who's behind the camera right now, and also our photographer. We're working with a new violist for this project as well, Patrick Page. And I also want to say, before I introduce my company artists and we sit around as a group, that we have been very strict in following CDC guidelines for COVID. We've all taken rapid tests before starting the shoot and have actually potted together in order to present this to you. You are the first audience to see this before we take it into the world. Hi, nice to see you again. Here I am with my company artists. I'm so excited for them to introduce themselves to you. Before we get into that, I'd love to just kind of share some additional history as well as our mission statement and some plans for the future. So I founded HEIDCO in April of 2018 in correlation with our debut work at Give Me Dance. Soon after that, I formed my studio LLC that houses all of my work, as well as HEIDCO, as well as future projects that I'm really excited about. HEIDCO is currently a fiscally sponsored project of Fractured Atlas, which gives us nonprofit status before starting the nonprofit, which I hope to do within the next few years. Our mission statement fosters an in-house, in-studio company ethos that allows all company artists to bring in their own experiences, conversation, dialogue, as well as be able to feel their own sense of leadership in the room. We invite all bodies into the room, all backgrounds, all sexual orientation, all different kinds of experiences, as well as cultural identities and different disciplines. I am really excited to also have a room that is full of participation as a tangible manifestation for our commitment to social equity.
Hi, my name is Tariq Mitri, and I am the co-director and also company artist of HEIDCO. I was born in the United Arab Emirates in Abu Dhabi and was raised in Portland, Oregon. I studied in theater the majority of my life, and at the age of 16 began dancing and realized that's all I wanted to do with my life. At that point, I found CalArts, California Institute of the Arts Applied, and it's in 2015 I graduated from CalArts and stayed in Los Angeles and freelanced for about 2 years. During that time, I worked on Caitlin's very first project at Dynasty Center, and it was a really beautiful, intimate experience, and coincidentally, Caitlin and I actually never really worked directly together during our time at CalArts, and afterwards fostered a newfound artistic relationship. And I was in LA for 2 years, and at that point I relocated to Seattle, Washington and danced for Kate Wallach in the YC. I was in Seattle, Washington for 2 years as well, and I also started teaching there a class called Dance Church. It's an all abilities movement dance fitness class that exists now virtually online, and it's also a really big part of my artistic life. After that, I came to New York City and I had the opportunity to work with Mad Boots Dance. It's an all-male, queer-based company here in New York City, and we had the opportunity to perform at the Joyce's first Pride program ever, where we also brought Sean Dorsey from San Francisco, so it was a split bill program. That was also a really, really wonderful artistic experience for me. It made me realize how important it is to be inside of multiple large cities across America, creating and cultivating dance for myself and different communities. So yeah, at the beginning of January of 2019, I moved to New York City, and Caitlin and I obviously reconnected, and I came to the table with the desire to step into a different role than the dancer. And we had a long conversation about this, and it made sense for me to then move into the role of rehearsal director. So for the first year here in New York City, I was rehearsal director and company artist. And as we were inside of the metal body process in December of 2019, we realized that there was a little extra still available to us. And we weren't sure what that was, and in March of 2020, when COVID hit, and we all had to separate and be potted and quarantined, a lot more conversation about everything started happening, and we started scraping through everything and really getting to the nitty-gritty, which led us to realize that this is more of a collaborative directorship at the moment. It will forever be Caitlin's vision, but we also realize that, again, we align. And so there's now room for my vision to come through, which is all, again, just a really wonderful, exciting thing to be happening. So with that said, I'm really happy to be with this room of beautiful artists, and working with everyone is always a joy. So we hope you enjoy as well.
Hi, my name's Maggie Beutner and I'm a company artist with HEIDCO. I'm from Denton, Texas, grew up there, have been dancing ever since I can remember. I went to college at the University of North Texas and graduated with my BFA in dance. And then upon graduating around 2014, moved to Brooklyn and relocated here. Since being in Brooklyn, I've danced and had the pleasure of dancing for many, many wonderful artists, including Brandon Welch, Britta Joy Peterson. I've done, I had a really long collaborative relationship with Gwen Charles, a visual artist based in Montclair, New Jersey. And I've also danced for the Moving Architects as a company member for 3 years, and a 3.5-year run with Cake Run & Co., all based in Brooklyn. And Caitlin and I met in 2013 at Bates Dance Festival, this amazing festival that happens in Maine every year. And what a joy it was just to connect with her. And we worked together at that moment. That was my first time being in Caitlin's process. And then after 2013, life continued on and we reconnected when she moved to New York, and I've had the pleasure with dancing with her ever since.
Hi, I'm Kristen Archibald. Everyone calls me Archie, so you may call me Archie as well. I was born in Staten Island, New York. That's where I began dancing at age 9 years old through dance competition, which was very different than the realm I'm into now, which began at LaGuardia High School in Manhattan. I focused on modern and ballet dance, and throughout that process, I discovered that I wanted a little bit more experimentation, not only in dance movement, but also incorporating sound, incorporating the voice, and just really being a performing artist. So I applied to California Institute of the Arts, where I met Caitlin and Erin and Tarek. So that was beautiful because I feel greatly blessed that Caitlin and I, our connection was off the bat, immediate, especially because I didn't end up staying there due to a spinal injury that I had. So to be able to curate that connection and still be in conversation, it never manifested in the dance space. It was more conceptual, conversational, especially as she continued her journey at Cal Arts and I was exploring different art forms. So now, currently, I live back in Staten Island. I'm back home, and I'm continuing my education through CUNY school, and I am studying psychology and taking prerequisites for physician assistant program, master's program, where I'm going to combine my understanding of the body and the injury that I had and try to bring that into the artistic world through understanding medicine in a deeper discipline. My role in HEIDCO is being a performance artist and also a company member and just lover of everybody here. As I'm exploring my education, I'm really grateful that they've provided a space for me to weave in and out because I am not as continuous as one day I would hope to be, but it will all interconnect as it's meant to, so thank you.
Hi, my name is Erin Bishop O'Brien. I am from Massachusetts, but I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona. Most of my training background is in the ballet world. I trained very heavily in ballet until I was about 16 when I transitioned into modern dance. I also went to Cal Arts starting in 2010, and that's when I met Caitlin and Archie. However, Caitlin and I didn't start working together until our last year of undergrad, and from there, our relationship just kind of blossomed in a very organic way. And we continued to work together very heavily until she moved here in 2017.
Mhm.
Yeah. During those years post-graduation and her relocating to Brooklyn, we worked together at Dynasty Center and produced numerous works out of that. And we're very heavily involved collaboratively to produce this vision. And then in the summer of 2019, I moved to Brooklyn, New York as well, and we continue to work together in HEIDCO. I am also a performance, what is the word I'm looking for? Artist. I am a performance artist. I also fill the role of production assistant.
The Heaping Kind is a narrative project, one of the most, I think, narratively driven that I've worked on, although it is highly conceptual as well. It follows 4 different characters. 2 are kind of the same character, but opposite sides of the kind of inverse or opposite sides of the same coin, Tarek and Maggie. They fill a very particular space of this sort of like human versus self, human versus environment, human versus supernatural. I'm definitely thinking a lot about different kinds of emotional necessities, the interior versus the exterior, and time and space, and where we are at, and kind of allow those emotions to come out and bubble out through use of the body. I think that Erin really fills a kind of a sculptor role, a pattern maker, a weaver, and also kind of like a guide in a way, a visual guide, I think. And a lot of different, with her character, I've been thinking a lot more about still images, what did you say? Yeah, still images and poetry, I think. And also I think that there are a lot of images that she fills that we've been thinking about for a really long time, and so it's like really cool to see them come to life. And then Archie really fills the role of a narrator and also a different kind of guide, and it's kind of through her eyes in a way. The camera becomes her eyes. We see her walk through the city, we see her experience, and then we see her find these 3 people within a home that she's clearly not invited to, but feels very very charged to want to know what's going on, and then becomes incredibly affected by their experiences. So like everyone has a very different point of view here on why they're here, but in some ways it is Archie's story, and then they fill the roles of what she's seeing. So Tarek, is there anything to add?
I don't think so.
We have worked really hard, so.
I guess I'll say the whole thing. We've put a lot of work into The Heaping Kind, and again, we really hope that you enjoy everything. I think for Caitlin, this was the first time that she has directly co-directed with another individual, and this is my first time in a co-director space inside of a film production. And for us, we really wanted to challenge each other to hold each other accountable, but also really come from an internal place when creating this, and not necessarily thinking abstracted to create result, but to really think about what's calling us in the moment, at the current moment, in the world that we're currently existing in. And we hope that you felt internal happiness, joy, whatever emotion it is for you during this film.
Yeah, totally. And we really hope you enjoy it. And if you want to learn more about my work, I know that Heritage Point will be providing some of those resources, but website and all of those things, and where you can find us on Fractured Atlas for donations. And I am always contactable, and look forward to further conversations and involvement. And I thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.